hear that, Can Crack? That is a no punts allowed birthday. Belated birthday.
Belated birthday.
Happy birthday by one
Thank
day.
you.
Belated by one day. To one Paige Kuhn. We're not going to talk about whether said host was able to confirm a happy birthday on the actual birthday. But happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Or one host may or may not be hungover, even though I only had 2 drinks at dinner. And did I have 3? Maybe I did have 3. Because I had one at the bar before. See, and this is the thing is like, anything after 2 for me is too many. But like, I was fine. I went home. I came home, watched a show with Nick early, all those things.
Still hungover. Still hungover, huh?
Still a little slightly. I slept in today. I texted you saying like I slept until 8.
Yeah.
Which is like
the whole world's
crazy.
been moving around for a bit. Yeah.
Oh my God.
What?
Wait. I can't say what I got a text about something that's very exciting that I can tell you guys in like weeks and weeks and weeks from now. It's nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me, by the way. I don't want to drop that on here and make people speculate anything. But sorry. Crazy. I just got a text.
But
anyway.
Wait, what?
I'm so sorry. I just got news of something that it's not my news to share. So sorry. Anyway.
This is killing me. In any event.
Anywho. So
happy birthday.
Thank you. Happy birthday. Hungover. Look at us. We're all over the place.
On your birthday week.
Yes.
Mario Cristobal lost a football game that he should.
Really, honestly, we knew we needed this conversation to happen. And so he gave me that birthday gift of like, let me shit the bed at some point. And to be fair, he didn't throw 4 interceptions, so that's fine.
No, but he allowed his quarterback to keep throwing it. And like, I had Miami fans up my ass on Twitter about this. Like, well, he didn't throw the ball. It's like, no, he didn't. But he wanted that quarterback, and they're throwing at the end. And like, I'm sorry, like, this is business. This is sports. Like, that's your job. Like, whether it's fair or not, that's the job. So, and when you continuously, haphazardly end football games, you don't buy yourself a lot of grace. So, no. And like the fact that Carson Beck was the fucking Heisman favorite. I mean, which was, you knew, if you bet Carson Beck last week.
Times on the show, like, please do not like waste your money on that ticket, which is fair. Big of you.
It is a shame because this Miami team did feel different, and it might be different. This is not the nail in the coffin. Louisville's not a bad team at all. But unfortunately, like the shortcomings and the failures feel similar. So the season's not over, but my God, this is a death blow. Not death blow, but this is a shot to the bow for both Miami and the ACC. Like, this has a massive bit of implication on both entities in this instance.
Well, let me just say, as someone who has been advocating for Georgia Tech for quite some time, this was huge for me. This was really big for me. Also, I said this on our AP poll show. How offensive was it that Louisville was not ranked before this week?
Yes.
Looking back at their schedule and then who they've lost to is literally Virginia by 3 points. Like, are we okay? Why would we keep ranking Texas? Why are we still ranking Texas?
That is an abomination. Like, we're going to get mad like in rankings, but that is truly incomprehensible. And yeah, shout out to Louisville, by the way. I have some thoughts on them in here in a moment, not tied to Miami, but like that's a legit. That Jeff Brom is just an agent of chaos. Like, he knows how to do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, it's for Miami. It's not over, but it is unfortunately just like when you give up. And I'll say this like about Lane too. Like Lane, you give up these you give up your room for error.
Yeah.
And it just, for teams that are undoubtedly going to be in a position to stumble again, it's killer. It's just killer. So for Miami, I'd love to say that I'm shocked, but I'm not. I just wish I would have bet Louisville, and I didn't, which is
so. If you're Miami, you are hoping and praying that Georgia Tech loses at some point before the ACC title game, because again, you have Louisville and Virginia. That their head-to-head would play a factor, but Miami might be left out. Like, if they don't get into the ACC championship game, there is a serious possibility they are left out again, like they were last year.
Totally. And would you argue with it?
No. That's the thing. If they don't even appear in that championship game, they are out. That's brutal.
So Miami, who do they have this week? They have Stanford. Okay.
Who, by the way,
yeah,
you never know.
Oh yeah. Well, and here's Miami's schedule the rest of the way. Yuck. Although again, okay, Stanford, they play at SMU. They could lose that. Syracuse, NC State, at Vatech, at Pitt. God, Pitt just, that game is just staring at me longingly saying, like, this point spread's going to be 6.5 and you're going Miami, that would be maximum Cristobal, actually. That game.
So I guess, we also do need to factor SMU into this, but Miami would have the head-to-head with them. It's the other teams that are in this that they don't play head-to-head that in terms of tiebreaker, I don't know that Miami gets in. Like, obviously over Louisville, they're not getting in because they have the head-to-head, but like Georgia Tech could potentially be undefeated, but depending on who they lose to, like there's, if they lose before that, which I doubt they do. And then you have Virginia, who, again, their random loss is to NC State. Like, Virginia and Louisville play each other? Oh, they already did. Sorry, that was a dumb question.
No, it's all
good. But
that's
what I mean. It's like, what's in UVA's schedule?
Miami's resume is going to be interesting. So the win over Notre Dame is a really good win, and will probably age accordingly. They beat Florida, but whatever.
Yeah, none of these teams.
They beat the absolute shit out of South Florida, which is a nice win. We'll see what happens.
So SMU and Louisville play each other. So that's where a head-to-head, that game's going to be wildly important if SMU beats
I just don't think SMU is that good.
But if they beat Miami, then that's the conversation. Louisville would need to win that game because of Georgia Tech, and it'd be like who they're fighting for second. Who's it? So the ACC is very, very interesting. There's a lot of things that, and also with like different, like the way we're have expanded conferences. This is the stuff that kind of is crazy. Remember last year in the Big 12, it was like there's like a bunch of different combos, and we were like 3-4 weeks away from the championship game. Yes. It's going to be crazy. Another team, I guess we should acknowledge their loss, Texas Tech. I don't really count it as a loss in my mind because they didn't have their starting quarterback and they didn't they were banged up on the defensive side as well. So I'm giving them like a pass on that. And they fell pretty far in the AP poll rankings, but I'd be curious to see where they are slated in the first CFP rankings because that will be very telling of how much they are weighing like injury versus, and I mean, when we were talking about like room for error, by the way, in the SEC of like Lane losing those games, losing a game like the one that he did lose and then not giving himself room for error, like there's actually no room for error in the Big 12. So even if you have injury, like that's not an excuse, and that will probably be held against them, unfortunately, because Texas Tech is a really good football team. So we will see.
By the way, ACC odds, Georgia Tech now the favorite. Interesting, plus 220. Miami plus 270, Virginia plus 450, and Louisville plus 550. SMU plus 750. So, and Duke just continues to fuck up everything it does. I'm so tired of them. All right.
Here's the thing of it.
I don't want to talk about them. Duke and Auburn have cost me like a reasonable automobile this year. Like Duke and Auburn are ruining my life, which... fine, whatever. Florida, speaking of ruining lives, the Florida Gators are looking for a new football coach. Not shocking. Billy Napier's out. I will say his agent, which is Jimmy Sexton, deserves an award for his agenting. So the buyout is $21 million. There's no offset language. Like a ton of it has to be paid within 30 days. And then he's basically getting a couple million a year for 5 years. No offset language is huge because Billy Napier is going to get a job. He'll go to a team who is potentially competing in the playoff as an analyst, and he'll get a job probably as a coordinator and then eventually as a head coach. I think he's well-liked. He's worked with Saban, but he gets all money regardless. That is not the case with James Franklin, by the way.
Yes.
So well done, Jimmy Sexton. Shout out to the hustle.
I mean, here's the thing. Shout out to all the coaches getting fired this, so far this season, because it's the amount of buyouts, by the way, has passed $100 million in terms of the 9 FBS firings that have happened. That's nuts. That's wild. Also, it's just not going to stop. It's going to continue. So, yes, we officially get the Florida firing. Let's talk who we think should be the head coach. And I feel like we already briefly talked about it last week because it was sort of the rumor that Napier was going to be out. But I thought of a few more people that I think would actually be pretty good fits. And then we can discuss the coaches that are not being fired, but there's been some weird statements around each of them and some weird rumors going around, specifically Wisconsin and Florida State. So let's start with, who do you want to coach at Florida and who do you think actually will? Like, do you think that's the same person, or do you think Lane will leave to go to Florida?
I don't. I don't. I think timing is tricky here. I think that's part of the problem is timing. Now, if Ole Miss loses this week, and I think they will, maybe it starts to change a little bit. It maybe and maybe that changes a lot, both timing and his interests. Now, he flirted with Auburn, like it was legit. He almost took the Auburn job.
It was fine.
I think Florida has to intrigue him, and maybe he realizes that he's hitting his ceiling at Ole Miss. Now, we've said for a couple of weeks, you could win anywhere, and you can. You can win in Indiana, you can win at Ole Miss, you can win at Florida. But there's also, there are levels to this game. And for us to say that Indiana is going to have the same yearly chance as a Florida, I think would be misleading. Florida is going to be, because of geography and everything else, is set up to do more. So I don't think it's going to be Lane. Do you think it's going to be Lane?
I think it might be. So
really?
Here's my, I was thinking about it, and the hierarchy of college football jobs. I think Lane wants to reach the mountaintop because he's gotten 2 of those jobs before and failed at it. I think that he wants to be able to prove that he can do it in the big boy category. So USC and Tennessee didn't work out, and now he's in a different phase. I think that he is going to be open to going to Florida more so than we maybe thought, just because of the fact that I think he's still Lane. He still has that bit of his ego that does want to prove that he can do it at a place like that, and where the expectations are high. Not to say that they aren't high at Ole Miss, but they're different than with Florida. I mean, literally, I told you before AP Poll Show, Florida fans booing after a win, is touch grass. It is so unbelievably insane. You are delusional and crazy. That's a human being who just won a football game for you and basically knows he's getting fired. Why are you booing him? What is wrong
there's no
with
need.
You? It's just so stupid to me. So please, Florida fans, go touch grass. So maybe I don't really want them to get Lane. I will say, if they don't hire Lane, this is the route I would go. I would go Alex Golish, and I would not stop. This would stop maybe the cycle of repurposing big name head coaches that we overpay and then end up paying them not to coach your football team because they're not reaching their potential. I think Alex Golish has so much potential to be such a good football coach and has proved that he can build something in Florida, by the way, which is a very, very important key factor to that. Hey, you're going with a guy that has roots in Florida in terms of recruiting and all of that. And I think it would be you don't want to have to overpay him. And if it doesn't work out, you're not sitting in a situation where, and here's the thing I do think it would work out, you're not sitting in a situation like you are now. Not to say that Billy Napier was a huge splash of a hire, but I think Florida fans would be more welcoming of that hire than a lot of things, but maybe not. Maybe they still want Urban to come back, like the Delulu Fululus they are.
How do you feel? Well, I know how you feel about this coach. Do you know who I'm alluding to, by the way?
Jimbo?
I think you do. Jetfish.
Jetfish. Oh, so here's the thing. He definitely wants that job, 1,000%. I think it would be a horrible, horrible decision to hire him. This is no disrespect to him in that aspect.
Yes.
I think he can do what he is doing at Washington, and you are much more likely to be successful at Washington in the Big Ten than he is coming to Florida in the SEC. They would demolish him. The other job that I know that he would consider is UCLA. I would take that UCLA job, but then again, it's like, is that a lateral or a downgrade because of the money you're going to have access to at UCLA? You know?
The two, he's intriguing.
Wouldn't surprise me though. Classic wouldn't fulfill his destination or his.
Here we go. This is what
it's so stupid. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? That would follow him around, by the way, for the rest of his career if he left Washington to go to Florida. Okay, sure. Great job, blah, blah.
Fishing. This was just
you are fishing for me.
Right
thing to do. Right thing to do. But I don't think that would be a smart hire. I don't. And that's not even from a like, I just don't like him because he left Arizona. That's from like if I was choosing a coach, that's not who I would be looking for.
I think the two names, if you could get Lane, go get Lane. Right? Totally. That would be fun, by the way. For content, for Lane, for Florida, for us selfishly, that would be fun. I think Jeff Brom would be an amazing hire. I would love to see that guy with more resources. Like, he's going to coach. Your quarterback play is going to be exceptional. Your offense is going to be great. You can surround him with a staff and like staff pool he's never had. I think Brom would be great. I think Eli Drinkwitz would be great too. I think he's
okay. So I was just about to ask you about Coach Drake.
I think those two.
Do you think he goes to Penn State?
I think he's. It's really interesting. I have a lot of friends who are Missouri fans, and they love him, and he's got this thing going. But I wonder if he knows that, like, God, it feels like Mizzou is like is close to its ceiling, and that's a testament to him. And they're like rebooting it with different quarterbacks and players, and like so. He seems very happy there, but
again,
these are great jobs. These are great jobs. Yes.
If you're Florida, that's a really great hire. I may or may not have been asked to make a list of 3 people I think would be great hires. He was there. Alex Golish and Lane Kiffin were the 3 that I think would be the best smart hires in terms of that. Because look, he's proven that he can do it in the SEC. He's proven he can do it with way less resources. And that to me is something where you could get behind. He's done it also with great coaching. We've seen it's been proven. It's not just that he's had, no offense to Mike Norvell, but like an elite, group of transfers 1 year and it's a one-hit wonder. We've seen him struggle the first couple of years when he was at Missouri and then rattle off back-to-back years that really look like they have been super solid. And now they're a college football playoff team potentially still this year. So yeah, there's a lot that I think would be positive for him. I think that Penn State wants him, if I had to guess. I actually don't mind that. I think that'd be a great combo, to be honest.
I think that would be a great fit. I think that would be, and like Missouri's a really good job. But again, it's so different than the Cignetti conversation. And it's hard to actually point why. But like fit-wise, like there's just this magic between coach and program and Cignetti. And Missouri is going to have to step up and try to keep Drinkwitz no matter what. They're going to owe him. I think Cignetti is going to completely change the market for like, I don't want to say homegrown, but coaches finding it. And oh, by the way, an 8-year, 9-year investment of like fully guaranteed money with all the buyouts we're paying out. Like this is it's a separate conversation, but this is like a wild year to do this because you're looking at how much money we're forking out and you're looking how desperate teams are. And you look at how much pressure there is to win big yearly. It sets up a really unsustainable environment, I think.
I mean, Ole Miss has never been more grateful for the state of Missouri, who, doesn't let you. Is it the state that does it, that you can't have like longer contracts? So thank God, because otherwise they would be literally throwing all the money they could possibly find in all the years they could find at Lane to keep him. And I think it'll be a nice excuse for them when they inevitably lose him to Florida, because I do think that is going to happen.
I think that, and by the way, but if that is the case,
But
so
on
be
the
it.
flip side, that brings up our next topic, which is Wisconsin and Luke Fickell and Florida State and Mike Norvell. So Wisconsin put out a thing, and their AD basically called out their fan base for not supporting financially, really, and just in general with this coaching situation, aka they literally don't have the money to pay his buyout. And then you again have Florida State making statements saying they are backing him, but they're going to reevaluate at the end of the season. Again, aka we're going to find that money for his buyout, which, by the way, I think is something insane. Like, is it like $55 million? Where's Norvell? I have the note app. I know I have it. I wrote it down.
It's north of 50.
Norvell is 55.
Okay.
By the way, just for fun,
Yes.
Hugh Freeze is 15. Brian Kelly is 54 million, by the way.
Brian Kelly will not get fired this year, I don't think.
I don't know, buddy. It is bad news bears there.
Well,
bad news bears.
It's so, all right, let's start with Wisconsin. I thought that was one of the most pathetic statements I've seen since Arizona State sent out that fucking stupid, we're going to run this like a business, and Herb Edwards, like really bad. And shout out to all my Arizona fans out there who are like digging in, like, yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, really, yeah.
But this was like a Chat GPT inspired word salad of nothing, and the audacity to blame your fans and to say we can't, we're comfortable. Like, look, their schedule sucks. I feel for Luke Fickell, right? This is a cold game we're playing. They didn't stand a chance. But this team has been really, really bad. And it's just not working, right? Like, it doesn't mean he's a bad coach. Like, this does no good because all of this bleeds into next year. And I guess they didn't say we're going to fire, or just don't say anything at all then. Like, don't say that. Because that does nothing but honestly probably alienate people. And I've seen Wisconsin kids like, fuck you.
Where I think they could have done it a little better is sort of lay out, okay, we're sticking with him, but these are the changes that are going to be made. And I think that's something that, like, you can't do until the season's over because he'll have to fire a coordinator here and there, or, they'll have to restructure his deal or something along those lines. The kiss of death for college football coaches, restructuring your deal, whether you need Mike Gundy or Mike Norvell, inevitably. But that's the part that you just, like, don't acknowledge it until the end of the season. And if you're not going to fire them, there's really no reason to open yourself up to that. And then to blame it on what felt like personal blame, or I guess I should say putting the blame somewhere else when really it's your job as the athletic director to get these things right and to figure these things out. So yeah,
there's a famous South Park episode, which I don't think you're a big South Park.
No,
but where there's these gnomes, they're the underpants gnomes that go around stealing people's underwear, and their plan is they point to this board: steal underpants, step 1, step 2, question mark, step 3, profit. Right? They don't know what they're going to do.
Yes,
that is what we're doing in Wisconsin.
Steal
underpants, question mark, profit. And then with Florida State, I don't know what you do there. Like, this is different. Like, this is one of the most significant program regressions. And the fact that they beat fucking Bama, it's like the most bizarre sequence. The last 2.5 years are like unlike any I have ever seen in college football. Playoff, gets screwed. Quarterback has a horrible injury, fortunately career-ending injury. Horrible season. Beat Bama. Ignite hope. We're back, and then lose to Stanford at like 1:30 in the morning. And but again, I don't know how you proceed, because the stakes of not doing anything, I know it's really expensive. It's not my money. But the stakes of doing nothing are also very expensive because, okay, you're not going to owe Norvell as much money a year from now. I don't know what his terms are exactly. But at what cost, right? And do you have faith that he's going to really turn it around?
No. See, that's the thing is, like, there's like, you could put this off for longer and maybe restructure his deal because obviously the results have not been there, and that's the only leverage you have, or you eat it and hire a new coach. But $54 million is a lot of money.
It's a lot of
Or
money.
55. Brian Kelly's is close to 54. But to the point about Brian Kelly, I think out of any of the schools that have these gigantic buyouts, by the way, USC is $80 million to Lincoln Riley. Dabo Swinney is like $60 million. Those guys are not getting fired. Like, I'm sorry, but Dabo and Lincoln are not getting fired.
By the way, I had a bunch of fucking USC fans up my ass too. Like I'm like, they're like, why are they defending Lincoln Riley? You have some. I'm like, Clay Helton had a better record through 47 games, right? Yeah, the program's in much better shape. Lincoln takes it. You lost to fucking Illinois. No offense, Illinois.
Yeah, that was offensive. I mean, I'm a Lincoln apologist, so I don't think they're going to do much better than that. I think the money stuff.
This was the premier program in college football. This was it. This. You can't lose to Illinois.
You can say that about a lot of.
Yes, they're losers too, but they're.
Texas. Are we having a conversation about Sark then?
We've had the Texas thing. We have. Texas is the best. Sure. But USC Sark took Texas at least to the playoff, and like a level dominant competency. USC is they're not. They're better in some ways.
Congratulations on the playoffs. I mean, nobody cares if you lose the last game of the season.
Congrats on the playoffs.
Moneyball.
You know what, USC fan? I mean, they're not stiff in the playoffs lately. I don't even think Lincoln Riley is bad. I just don't think you have to go out of your way to defend him. Like, let's be honest here. Like, and the levels of dumb shit. By the way,
I really like Clay Helton. I think he got a bad rap. I feel bad.
Lincoln Riley. The levels of dumb shit he did in that game, Lincoln Riley, like, and he admitted it, which I appreciate. Just don't defend him. Like, you don't have to do that. He's not
protected by $80 million. You don't have to do that.
Yeah, he's fine. There is a fortress like in The Dark Knight when Joker climbing on the cash. It's like that's what Lincoln Riley is. Like lighting it on fire.
It's gonna be our edit. That's so funny.
I'm like fired up. All right, we have to move it along because we all have stuff to do. I have to take Jack to a baseball lesson tonight. It'll be a good random shit at the end. However, there was a conversation brewing in my mentions yesterday. I can't help but jump in about parity in college football. I've written about this multiple times over the last probably decade, but I still think it's a really interesting conversation because it's a matter of interpretation. So Todd Furman, good old friend of mine, one of the best in betting, and Josh Payne were talking about parity. And Todd put out there that nobody wants to see, and I'm paraphrasing this, but nobody wants to see South Florida versus insert team here. I forget who he said, but it's like, you know where he's going with this. Essentially that there's some games that are just no one's going to care about, and they're not going to do well. And that parity in college football, South Florida, if they make the playoff, no one's going to care. So it was like South Florida, Virginia, right? Or South Florida, Indiana, or one of these games. I ask you this because I think it's really interesting. And I'll give you the two scenarios of people that responded to him. You have two, and this pisses me off. You have the, first off, like, playoff sucks, expanded playoff sucks, bring me the BCS, it was so much better. And then you have the, every game is the greatest game ever. If you're not excited about South Florida in the playoff, you don't like college football, right? Like that is the two extremes. He had USF against Georgia Tech, by the way. That is his realistic mock playoff game. Where do you stand on parity in college football? Because I don't have a hot take on this. I actually think it's pretty interesting.
So here's the thing. I view this in different ways because, of course, like, what's good for business may not be great for in terms of like Bleacher Report coverage, bigger teams, bigger all of that, fan bases. Yes. We know that. However, that doesn't take away from those games. Like, I enjoy watching those games. I'm not like saying, oh, if you don't like watching them, like, you don't like football. But at the same time, like, it's still a playoff game. One of those advances. Also, rooting for a team that's never won a college football national championship in the college football playoff is something I will do every year. Whoever has not won one, I want them to win one because that would be so sick and such a cool storyline. And it's not going to happen every year. That's the thing about the parity in college football is it's not going to like fully come to fruition every single year. Are we going to get a year where Indiana wins a national championship? Maybe, probably. Are they going to win every single year? No, we'll have Ohio State thrown in there. We'll have, I was going to say Oregon, but they also haven't won a football national championship. So sorry, Oregon fans, not to throw shade, but you haven't. But like,
Tough.
That's the thing is like Alabama, Georgia. Okay. We'll stick with those teams. That is going to happen and continue to happen. That's just the nature of college football. Having every couple years us have somebody, and look, I know it didn't work out fully when TCU made the college football playoff. I think that was a bit of an extreme because it was a 4-team. I think it's much better that the 12 team is going to eliminate those big gaps early on, and your national championship game is not going to be like that. I mean, there's still blowouts with the best of teams.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, the national championship games that
many
we've
of the
watched
playoff games have been bad.
Yes, like that's what I mean is like there's been a lot of games featuring two blue bloods that haven't been good. So like I think it's stupid to be like, oh, nobody wants to watch that or this is stupid to do this. No, because we're gonna have a Cinderella breakthrough every now and then. It's not gonna be like the NCAA tournament, but in that similar, way, you're gonna have something that breaks through and a cool story that does like happens in college football. And you're making it possible because you're allowing people to come to this invitational, not this playoff,
What I find funny about this, somebody like Todd, who's worked in a sports book and is a degenerate, and I mean that the best possible way, from one degenerate to another.
Mm-hmm.
Todd loves this shit. He'll eat all of this up. So for me, you put South Florida playing Georgia Tech at the bottom of the ocean. What's the total, buddy? What are we doing here? What can we write about? And you're right. You're going to see history. Somebody like you'll see a fan base enter a stratosphere they never thought they could. Awesome. So like the wrong audience. Like, but are there certain subset of people that are like, fuck this? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And will the ratings show that? Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Like the ratings will show that. So
I will say this. I am a ride or die for Georgia Tech, so I'm offended personally by this because I love Georgia Tech and I really, really want Georgia Tech to make a deep run in the college football playoff, and I'm convinced that it's going to happen in my brain. So,
my last thing. You guys
are wondering, we'll clip this later in the year. Don't you worry. Yeah, I was just saying that we're getting
you've been very consistent with that too. So we know. Last thing, and then we'll rip through games. I wrote about this, and actually it was a really fun thing to write about because we have the college football playoff rankings coming in less than 2 weeks. You and I will be doing the release show, which is a blast. All of this I can't wait for. But I think you're starting to see some cracks in the armor for the definitive Ohio State is number one. Ohio State is number one. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying I spent the last couple of days looking at analytics and resumes and all of this shit. I looked at Ohio State, Texas A&M, Indiana, and Alabama. Mm-hmm. Here was my conclusions. Alabama really fucked up. Okay, Alabama really fucked up because the one loss is just like the unfathomable loss. And the resume for Alabama is so good beyond that with the rank wins that I want to say if Alabama and Ohio State played on a neutral field right now, Alabama might be favored. I don't know. We could find that information out. But because of that loss, they can't go in there. I also can't put Texas A&M in there right now. I just can't. You're barely beating Arkansas. You've had some close games. You've beaten some good teams, not great teams. You beat Notre Dame, obviously. That's a very good team. But I can't. I think you could make a case for Indiana. Like, that's where I landed. But I think Ohio State is number one. And maybe I wanted to come up with some sort of controversial conclusion for this. Indiana has a strong case, but their out-of-conference schedule was a joke. And they should not be rewarded for that right now. Like they shouldn't, despite all of the good that they've done. I know the Texas win doesn't mean as much as it should. And the resume for Ohio State, let's be honest, Washington and the rest of the way doesn't look all that good. So they're going to be vulnerable. I still think this is probably the number one team and the best team in college football at the moment.
So I was having this conversation last night with Nick because we were talking about Oregon, and I was like, I kind of think the best case scenario for Oregon was to lose a game during the regular season. Obviously, last year you didn't do it that way, so let's try it this way. And I was thinking though that this could be Ohio State's problem a little bit, maybe with this season, is they might just skate by and get by on this, and we aren't really able to evaluate against really tougher competition until we get to, honestly, the championship game.
Yes.
So, and there they could still win. I mean, Oregon beat Penn State pretty handily last time, so there's still room there. But I do want to ask you about this because I saw Bleacher Report posted the Heisman conversation on there, and people are like, why are we not talking about Julian Sayin? And I think one of the things that I do want to kind of dive into is, yes, Ohio State is the number one team in the country right now, and team success should play a factor in that. However, the level of competition and also what's being asked of him, I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm not saying he's not doing well. I do think, though, you do have to factor in they slowly but surely worked him into doing more, developing a little bit. That's great. Do I think he's the best even quarterback in all of college football? Not particularly. I don't think he's had to be. That's the point, is that I don't think he's had to be, so I don't think he is. If he had to be, I think he certainly could make the case and would be in this conversation. But right now,
4-1, by the way. I mean, he's plus 340, plus 350, 4-1.
Yeah, he's still in this, but people are like, oh, we haven't been giving him enough credit. But I think it is because we're waiting to give him credit for...
He's almost the favorite in odds.
Well, in terms of conversation around this, he's not a name that is everybody's riding for and pretty confident in.
I'll say one of these people talking said after the first week that he was going to win a fucking Heisman at some point.
But not this year, because he's probably going to be asked to do maybe more next year after a year of... That's the point.
I think
what's being asked is maybe not that much of him. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not.
By the way, Julian Sayin versus Fernando Mendoza, undefeated Indiana versus undefeated Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game would be a fucking banger. Yes, they're both in the playoffs. Shut up, everyone. Shut up. Heisman, number one seed. Yes, I am here for that. I'm just saying.
Yes.
And Sayin is good. He's going to be great. And they're asking him to do more. He also has 2 first-round picks that he's throwing to. Not bad. And arguably one of the greatest statistical defenses through 9 weeks that we've ever seen. By the way,
I'm pretty sure, he also will get Jeremiah Smith for another year.
Yes.
So.
Oh, it's all, no, he is great. All right, we gotta go into locks and games.
Yes.
I have a lot of games in locks that I think are, I don't always do this. We always want to highlight the one, but I'm very interested to hear your take on this week because I think I know how you're going to feel on a couple, but I don't know how you're going to feel on this first one. Which Oklahoma minus 4.5 versus Ole Miss, and I like Oklahoma. I think last week, physically, emotionally, they have broke Ole Miss's soul. I really worry about emotional letdown. I worry about the Kiffin, Florida stuff. And Oklahoma's offense is not that great. I've ripped on them plenty, but neither is Ole Miss's defense. And so I think this is a really shitty matchup. It's an 11 a.m. game. This is a tough get off the mat situation for Ole Miss. I really like Oklahoma. And you know me, I'm not the biggest fan of them. This line, to me, speaks volumes.
This is hard because they both still have playoff hope. And yes, I understand Lane looked incredibly defeated after that game.
Terrible. Body language.
I mean, bad. To your point about the Florida conversation, the distraction, the letdown, the struggles, I don't know, because I mean, actually, I do. I'm gonna ride with this, and I do think Oklahoma will end up winning that football game.
I don't think you're gonna. Well, I'm kind of breaking my own rule on this next one. Iowa State minus 2.5 versus BYU. I like Iowa State. Now, I went to Iowa. I don't even hate Iowa State anymore. You cover this game long enough, those things go away. But you know how much I love BYU. When I saw this point spread, I was like, yikes. Now, is Vegas not respecting BYU like everybody else? They're still 11, which is bullshit. Or is Iowa State at home in a tough environment, coming off a bye? BYU had a really tough it's an emotional week, I think.
Physical game as well.
Physical, emotional. I really like Iowa State in this spot. I think they're going to win outright, and I think they're going to win by more than a field goal.
So I kind of agree with you.
Shit, we're 2 for 2. I know where we can go astray, though, and it's right here. Texas A&M is on the road, and they are just a 2.5-point favorite at LSU. Number 3 team in college football, 2.5-point favorite. I love LSU in this spot. I love LSU. The total in this is 48.5, so I don't think we're getting a shootout. But I do think that this is a game. A&M's been kind of playing with fire, and you know how I feel about A&M. They were a team I picked early on in the season, dark horse to win the conference. It's actually good for business if they win. It's not how I do things. I think LSU at home at night, LSU is kind of a must play for me here. How do you feel?
I think it's going to be Missouri that delivers Texas A&M's first loss. I don't think they lose this week. Well, LSU is just too far gone.
Perfect segue to Missouri versus Vanderbilt. Now, there is nothing cute about this game being on here. Missouri versus Vanderbilt is a banger. Environment's going to be off the charts. Diego's a machine. Missouri looked like shit against Auburn. My guy Bo did not have a great game. He was also pressured. He was also pressured more than any quarterback like in the country last year by Auburn. Auburn defense deserves a gift basket or something. Vanderbilt minus 2.5 versus Missouri. I like Missouri plus 2.5. I think Missouri is the running game is going to get going. Hardy will get going. I think both quarterbacks are going to make plays. I think this is a really fun game. I'm going to lead Missouri to cover and pull a very small upset.
I'm going Vandy. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Last but not least, I'm not devastated at all. With Washington, minus 4.5 versus Illinois. I love Washington. I feel like I've just been shitting on Illinois this whole podcast. That's not my intent. Washington at home, they were bad at Michigan last week. Bad. Quarterback threw 3 interceptions. Michigan looked pretty good. I think you're going to see a big recovery. It's a long road trip. Much different outcome there. I thought they played Ohio State tough. Washington offense just needs to protect the football. If they do that, I think they cover the 4.5.
I can't decide. I'm going to go with Illinois, even though it's against my better judgment because Washington at home betting against them at home is really dumb.
A couple other games. Alabama, South Carolina. Does it get weird at all? South Carolina looks like shit.
No, they're a mess.
They look bad. This spread, I can't get over the spread. Texas Tech is a 38.5-point favorite over Oklahoma State. This is a conference game for a program at OK State that was like plenty competent 2.5 years ago. 38.5. Texas, Mississippi State. Does Mississippi State have a chance?
Yeah. Totally.
Do
the nail in the coffin, third loss. I'm ready for it. Also, Arizona State, Houston. I think Arizona State wins, but if Houston wins that game, big conversations to be had in the Big 12. Big conversations.
Houston is like such a sneaky
6-1.
And by the way, they play Arizona State, then they play West Virginia at home, at UCF, TCU at home, and at Baylor. Now, look, those last 3 games they could all lose. Houston is not some monster, but they can win those games and theoretically will be favored or really close. Like, we got to get ready here, right? Like, this is the week, to your point. Like, we got to, after this week, let's have a conversation.
Yep. And honestly, like, should be a national conversation about the turnaround of that program if this is the case, if we get 7-1. That would be insanity for what they had to rebuild and regroup.
Memphis, South Florida. Does Memphis recover? This feels like more of a Memphis.
South Florida's going to whop, and it's going to be done.
4.5 points.
All right, Tulane. I know you want it, but nope.
Is there anything that catches your eye other than that?
No.
Oregon is a 31.5 point favorite over Wisconsin. It's bad, buddy. It's bad. All right. Random shit. I've got one. My son won his flag football championship on Sunday.
Yes.
For the first time in my life, I felt like I was teetering on being a douchebag parent. I was not yelling. I'm very quiet.
Wow.
But I could feel the urge. And I sent you the highlights. Maybe we'll have to post these on our account, because they were hilarious. I thought I sent you
on like let's fucking go territory.
Let's fucking go. Well, they had him at quarterback, and he's got some. He's quick. He can move. Cool. I didn't know he could throw. So
what we are gonna do is you're gonna add No Punts Allowed as a collaborator on Instagram to those highlights, and we are going to post his highlights to
homework. They're legit though. So, but I don't want to be that douchebag parent. So I have to stop myself from continuing to do that.
I mean, I like it. You need to thrive in it.
I have to go here. The reason I'm leaving here in a moment is he has a baseball lesson and I have to catch tonight. I get back into my catching days. The last couple of times.
Be careful. Yeah, I was just going to say, injury-wise, I'm worried now.
Yeah. The calf got hit last week. We're gonna protect things. And how about you? Any other additional random shit?
No, I have a big wedding meeting here today. It's our final meeting with our venue. So it is becoming more and more real that I am going to be married in about a month. So
crazy.
I know. So that is nuts. And it was weird yesterday, my birthday, being like, this is the last birthday as Paige Kuhn, by the way. Very weird.
That is a little weird. That is a little weird. 33
years. That feels strange.
You did good.
So exciting.
33 years of people mispronouncing your last name.
Yeah, and they're just going to continue to do it with the new one. So you're going to have to learn how to say Mendoza and not say Mendoza by accident.
Yeah, that's trouble. Yeah, it's trouble. Kuhn, I got after one, like it's this one.
Kuhn.
And I was like, okay, sorry.
Nope, it's going to be an adjustment for all, but I'm very excited, obviously. But yeah, wedding planning, I'm really excited for that part to be like no more decision making. We just get to a big old party.
That's going to be awesome.
And it's going to be great.
All right. For Paige, I am Adam. Enjoy the games this week. Watch us on Sunday, AP poll. There will be stuff. Regardless of what happens, this will be a week. It's been amazing the last few weeks. This week will be no exception. And then playoff. Maybe unbelievable in 2 weeks after that. So we will talk to you guys next week.